Words like tequila.
Woo-hoo! Real Radio Media, Roger Reports Podcast. And if we remember what that burn is like, ooh, beautiful song. Hey, what a cool ass crossover, right? Con el Karim. A little bit of English, a little bit of Spanish. It's like they're finally getting it. We get this shit crossed, right? We speak them both. Ah, jeez. Okay. I'm finally gonna get over to the Tucker video. I'm way fucking over on time. Okay? I don't know if this shit is expensive or not. We tried to squeeze it in, pero fuck it, we'll make it an hour show. A ver qué pasa. Let's in real time, because I haven't watched it. Let's watch this Tucker Carlson. I'll full screen it. Hell yeah. Let's go. All right, here we go. That was a lot of editing, but we're getting it. We are getting it. Nope, no, we're not. Now we are.
When did you find out it was these?
Not until the next morning in my own recollection. The aircraft were all unmarked. The torpedo boats were flying the Star of David. One of the officers that was on the deck happened to be Jewish. When he saw the Star of David flag, I understand he broke out in tears.
The torpedo boats that fired machine guns at the Liberty, I mean, they must have been close enough to see the American flag flying over the ship.
Yes. Our initial flag was flying from flagstaff at the back of the main mast. That was knocked down in one of the first air attacks. Our signalman ran that back up again. It was knocked down again. And then he ran up the holiday flag, which is 5 feet by 8 feet, the largest flag we had aboard ship. That flag was literally riddled with shrapnel. He ran that up on the one of the port signal arms, which is on the port side. But we had a good breeze blowing that day. The flag was out there, pretty obvious. Egyptian ships are painted black with hull markings in Arabic script. Every highway sign in Israel is in Hebrew, Arabic script, and English lettering. So that excuse falls away. U.S. ships are painted gray with hull markings in English lettering. Our hull marking was GTR-5, which stands for General Technical Research, the fifth and newest of her class. Technical research means that she's a non-combatant. It's a violation of international law to fire on non-combatants. The Israelis were riddling our life rafts with machine gun fire. That's a violation of international law. The irony of that is that came about as a result of refugee ships being machine gunned by Nazi wolf packs during World War II.
What did your commanding officers tell you about the motive for this attack? So you're lying, recovering, you've got wounds to your face and your hands, and someone at some point explains to you why this happened. What did that person say?
Honestly, I didn't hear anything.
Let me interject here to identify Real Radio Media, Roger Reports Podcast. We are just going through this video here with Tucker Carlson on the Tucker Carlson Network on YouTube. We're talking about the attack on the Liberty by the Israeli Air Force, Army, something of that nature. Israel attacked a Navy vessel, and that's what this video is about. Just a quick ID and getting right back to it.
Most of us were pro-Israel that were aboard the ship. It's kind of ironic that one of our analysts, he was processing the United Arab Republic traffic that we were getting. He made a small UAR flag and had that stuck in his out basket. Most of the crew were smoking back then. They'd walk by and say, "Hey, Rich, your Arabs aren't doing so well." And they'd set fire to his flag. And he'd say, "No, cut that out, put it out." One of the sailors had made a huge Star David out of teletype paper that was pasted up on the starboard bulkhead. That Israeli torpedo struck within a few feet of that Star David flag.
Did you talk about this after? Did you do interviews with the media? Did you tell your friends, your family? Like, how did you respond to this once you recovered?
My situation was a little different. I was on temporary assignment from my home base in Bremerhaven, Germany. I was 10 days aboard the carrier America, flown back to Lucca, Malta, where the ship was dry docked. I was one more day aboard her there. This guy, ironic, I didn't have a place to sleep, and one of the sailors said, "I'll go up to sickbay and talk to Dr. Van Lane." He said, "He'll find you a place to sleep up there." We're kind of chatting. It was getting long late in the afternoon, and he said, "You're welcome." There were 3 bunks there. He said, "You're welcome to sleep in whichever one you want." I said, "I hope that doesn't get to stinking in night." I said, "What's that, Tom?" There was a box in the corner, roughly 18 inches square. It was labeled unidentified human body parts. That's what's buried in the mass grave in Arlington National Cemetery. I slept with it that night.
Ugh.
2 of the men that worked for me were in that box. What was left of that?
What the fuck? Not that I need to identify, but I'll identify real quick. Real Radio Media, Roger Reports podcast on RadioKings.com. What the fuck? Just wanted to identify, going right back into it, you guys.
What was left of that?
Were you told by the U.S. military, by the Marine Corps, by the Navy, not to talk about this?
Well, mind you, we're in intelligence business and just don't talk about it. There's an old saying,
fair.
what you see here, what you say here, when you leave here, leave it here. I did not talk about it outside of secure spaces. When I got back to my home base in Bremerhaven, I was put on 12 on, 12 off watch. I talked about it rather freely in the secure spaces. My wife didn't know what happened to me. I was not supposed to tell anyone when I was aboard this ship, but no one bothered to tell me I wasn't. When I first got aboard her, the petty officer of the deck was a longtime friend of mine, Ronnie Campbell. I said, Ronnie, I need to let Lois know where I'm at. I said, can you give me the address of the ship? Well, he gave me the FBO address, and I got a postcard, wrote it on, told my wife I'd be aboard her, don't know how long. I'll let you know sometime in the future. Dropped it in the mail. She'd received that card, knew I was aboard it. On the 9th of June, a dear friend of hers that lived across the street in Bremerhaven waved to her to come over. She went over and said, did you hear about that U.S. ship being attacked? I said, no. She said, yeah, the USS Liberty. Well, I said, I think Bryce is aboard that ship. Well, that set a panic button. When I got back home, I was a mess. I had to borrow a uniform from one of the Marines aboard to Carrier America. There happened to be a African-American Marine, same build I was, real gentleman, same rank as I was, loaned me a khaki uniform. I had to wear that uniform the next 5 days. And part of that was when I got back to the ship, that oil was everywhere. Where you went, you get drops of that oil all over you. So I stunk from that. I had fever blisters in my face, and this yellowish pus was oozing out, dripping over the front of me. The morning I got back, couldn't get in the apartment, second floor apartment. The neighbor, Betty Bryant, came to the door. Said, oh, Bryce, said, Lois went out to the base to get the mail. Said, come on in, I'll get you a cup of coffee. She set me around behind the door, gave me a cup of coffee. A while later, she said, oh, here she is now. Well, she just got in the mail, and she'd just gotten a letter from her mother that her grandfather passed away. My wife didn't get along very well with her mother, but she was her grandfather's pride and joy. She's all broken up about that. Betty says, Lois, you need to come in here. The 3 kids are there. See, Marcia, our oldest one, was 6. And Dorothy was 4. John was 3. And I was the ugliest mess. Stunk to high heavens. Kids are screaming, my wife crying. The Marine commander calls me to his office the next day and says, best thing for you to do to forget about this is go to work. Put me on 12 hours on, 12 hours off watch standing. I had to go to the doctor on my time off, get my wounds taken care of. The Navy sent a JAG officer, a lieutenant commander, all the way from Washington with a sheaf of papers for me to sign. He never bothered to tell me personally, you are not to talk about this. I talked about it freely in secure spaces because these fellows, many of them had been aboard the Liberty or ships of her class doing the same task. If they weren't, they would be in the near future, likelihood. So they all were aware of it. So I talked freely about it, but I did not tell my wife anything. She had no idea what was wrong with me. I'd wake up screaming and crying, and she had no idea. And it wasn't.
I'm going to interject and just to like, no inobvious, right? How come when these heroes come back and they tell us stuff, why don't we believe them? No disrespect to Tuck here, man. Why do we have to have him interview this hero for his story to be believable today, as opposed to when the fuck this actually happened, you know? And for there to allow the wheels of bureaucracy to move forward with justice or what have you at that point. But no other questions, no further questions, Your Honor. There was an attack. There is now, I mean, again, everything in mainstream media either says, no way, look the other way, there was an accident, they already apologized and whatnot. Wait a minute, when there's dead, are you thinking that all we're looking for is like, oh fuck, I'm so sorry. All right, man. No, what the fuck, man? These people need to be disarmed. They obviously don't know how the fuck. It's over here. They obviously don't fucking know how to operate these fucking weapons and are accidentally shooting our own guys. So if this is accidentally, fucked up. If this is malicious, fucked up. I mean, different degrees of fucked up, but nonetheless, already on the fucked up side. Yet we're questioning it. Lingity, 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 lingity. Man, Your Honor, have no further questions. I would just say it's time to disarm this particular country, regime, whatever we want to call it. But that's where I'm going to leave it, you guys. Thank you for being with me. I definitely went over my time. I most definitely fucked up the playlist. I had a whole different thing. But then Lindsay went and passed away. I've been pushing this video back, and then some shit came up with the attacks. We got to roll with the punches. You know what I mean? But I do appreciate you guys being here. I'll leave you guys with this one, and then I'll put some tunes together for later on in the hour. I'll link it. Maybe I'll put some hip hop together. If you guys are going to the gym around 4 or 5 o'clock, I'll be sure to have something playing up on the radio. For the meantime, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next one, God willing.